got them. Trolling for crappies. You know, this isn't crankbaits. This isn't walleyes, this isn't spinners. What this is jigs. And you know, there's a lot of different jigs that you can troll with for crappies, but I want to show you my favorites because I'll tell you what, it makes a big difference if you got the right jig down there. What I like to use for a jig head, number one, is a little nipper. That little nipper's just basically a hair jig, and I'm gonna let this guy go. I'll give you a good look at him, and I'm gonna throw him back over the side. And let me show you what I'm using here. This is just a standard little nipper, and I'll show you one right out of the box here. Because early in the year, this is probably my favorite jig to use, and I use it just like that. Maybe sometimes I'll put a little ice fishing plastic on there, you know, from the Lindy ice jig. But otherwise, I just catch a lot of fish just like that. But here's why. Early in the year, they're looking for a very natural presentation, and that hair just pulsates, and the bait they're eating is very small. And that's when we're in fishing on the shorelines. Now, as the year progresses, I still love this little nipper. I'm out here in the middle of summer and I'm trolling for them. But what I've done is I've just added a young teeny shad. Now there's a couple different things that you can add, but the teeny shad's my favorite because it's got that cut up tail, okay? And what that does is it actually pulsates down there and this hair is pulsating in front of it. And that's just a dynamite combination. Let me show you a couple other things that you can use too that'll catch a lot of fish. Over here, this is the Watsit Jig. The Watsit Jig is another great one for trolling because it's got that tiny tail there that's really thin and it just continually moves in the water. That's a good jig to use. Now, what you also want to do is pick the jig that you're going to use based upon what you're fishing. And today, being I'm out here in a basin area and I'm fishing suspended fish, I've got to get down a little bit because I'm trolling. I'm getting by with a 16th ounce jig today. But what you need to remember is if you got to get down more than like 3 or 4 feet, then you need to go to a heavier jig. So that's when I'll go to an 1/8. And that 1/8 will get me down in that neighborhood of 6 to 8 feet. Now, if I got to go even deeper than that, I'm going to go up to a 3/16 and so on. And it's just kind of a continual test. You know, keep casting out, run through a pot of fish and you'll see them on your graph. And if you don't get them to bite, you know you probably weren't in the right zone. So change your jig size, change your jig style as well. You know, you can start with just that simple little nipper. You can add a teeny shad or a yum pad fry to it. And then you can also go to that Watsit Jig. And between all of that, somewhere along the way, you're going to catch some crappies. Don't forget fuzzy grubs too. They catch a lot of fish. I'm going to get the line back in the water because they're biting pretty good here.